Why are people who experience homelessness at higher risk during a pandemic?
Um, so that's a great question. I actually have a student who works with me, or actually he's a research coordinator who works with me, who was on one of our research studies was going out to a shelter, and he basically said, I can't believe when I walked into this place, like they're like all these people like really packed close together in these rooms where they're sharing like living space and sleeping space, and he said, is that like good for like when we have COVID? And I was saying, well, exactly. When you walk into the spaces that are used for people experiencing homelessness, either as shelters or drop-ins or other services, it's obvious that putting people together in congregate settings that we typically use for people who are unhoused is creates a high risk situation for the spread of COVID and other infectious diseases. So the pandemic really just unmasked the conditions that all along were we knew were increasing the risk of especially airborne or droplet-borne disease. The, I think that the, the additional risks are not just the risk of infection, but the risk of displacement and lack of access to basic services. So literally during the pandemic, there were people who were at higher risk of not being able to find a place to use the bathroom, of not being able to, find the supports that they needed if they use substances, for example, and thus increasing the risk of overdose. So I think that there's a whole host of reasons that the pandemic increases risk for people who are experiencing homelessness. And we've seen that play out statistically as well in the incredible increase in the number of overdose deaths. We've seen it, I think, in just the stress and the impaired mental health that people report. And I guess that lastly, and I think it's obvious, is that in another place that its risk has increased is that people have made the choice in some cases to sleep outdoors in encampments, and that's increased the risk of, it's resulted in, I guess, as we've all seen, encampment clearances and the risk of displacement and being, I guess, facing either facing forced, forced moves that disrupt people's social and support networks.